Yo. We back again. You know we never slacking off. Judah Ben. Yo. Ladies and gents, get prepared for another greater event. If you never linked, then make an attempt. On Fridays, there's really no other way to be spent. Tune in, hit the link, and leave likes and comments. Welcome to TD Sports Talk. Here we bring sports and entertainment weekly. They break it down deeply. Come peep me as I spit, leave most confused. Pay attention while I introduce the host and crew. Starting off, we got Tommy the host. He plugged in, his predictions transparent like a ghost. Yo, I think that he been doing this the most. He first joined in March 2013. His resume was first seen. Then we got the co-host, Mr. Socrates. His analogy surgical like a doctor squeeze. The live show was nasty like a dirty beer. Tommy and Sock, they've been friends for over 30 years. Peep me, we got the final host D-Free from out of DC. You need to wake up, you sleepy. If you checking out the live and you feel the vibes, like the video, subscribe, get notified. Take a picture cause this moment should be polarized. Tommy's legacy and resume is notarized. Whether it's Friday or Saturday, he going live. Click the bell and I promise you'll get notified. Yeah.
Yeah, buddy! Yeah, buddy!
Tell me which champion of the world. Shout out to TD Sports. TD Sports. Let's go, chat.
Gotcha.
TD Sports Talk in the house. Let's go.
Shout out to TD Sports, man. B. Norman Jr., man. See you taking the pictures out there and with that New York doing big things, man. Keep doing your thing.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Hope everybody is doing well today. We're in a special time today. You know, usually we're at nighttime, but today we have a special guest. Shout out to my man D-Free, my man Sock on time, just made it. It's a miracle. It's good to see you guys. Hope everybody is doing well. I see you guys in the chat, but I want to get to it. We got a good interview today. We're bringing somebody who's been in the business for close to 30 years in the business. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome Miss Jolene Mizzone.
Hello, guys. How are you?
What's going on, Jolene? How's everything with you?
Good. Good.
Okay. You know the guy to your, I guess on the right of the screen, Mr. Socrates Palmer Jr.?
Oh, yeah. I remember him. I've known him for years. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Yeah, Socrates. Me and Socrates been friends for like over 30 years, almost 40 years now. I think me and Soc been friends. So
I'm sorry to hear that. No, he's a good dude. He's a good dude.
Yeah, that's my Dominican brother. You know, so. Yeah. But we're gonna start it off, man. Hopefully you're doing well. But for the people that don't know who you are, maybe just give a brief introduction of who you are.
I'm president of Fighters. I was going to say Main Events. Fighters First Management, which is a management company, and we manage fighters. Taking it back to the beginning of my career, I was with Main Events Promotions for 25 years. And then about 3 years ago, it was 3 years ago, I made the switch to the management side of things. So here I am. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'll start off. We'll start off from the very beginning, and we'll work our way to the current. So, how did you get involved? I think you started out with Main Events. How did you get involved in management?
Well, to start off from the very beginning, showing my age, after high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I just needed a job, so I took a job at Main Events as a receptionist, just answering phones. I didn't know shit about boxing. But it was pretty cool seeing all these fighters come in and out of the office. I didn't know who anyone was. And then I kind of moved myself up the ladder within the promotional side to fighter relations, to matchmaker, to vice president. And then 3 years ago, Adrian Clark, who started Fighters First Management, came to me and said, "You want to manage fighters?" And I thought to myself, well, I basically do on the promotional side because I had so many relationships with fighters. said, yeah, I think that'll be a good thing. And they made me an offer I couldn't refuse and came onto the management side and been doing it for 3 years. And I love it. It's much better than the promotional side.
Okay. So you started off with the promotional side, and I believe you also matchmake as well.
Yes.
Talk to us on how that was like and where you started with that.
Well, the funny thing is, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat anything. At the time, Kathy Duba, there was changes being made in main events, and she kind of came to me and said, all right, well, you're going to be the matchmaker. And I thought to myself, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, So I worked a lot with Russell Peltz, and he kind of educated me on it. And I also did my own homework on my own, studying fighters, and, started off with 4-round fights. And then eventually along with Russell, was making all the fights for the NBC series, and, and just went on from there and, got the hang of it. And, at the time it was great, but it's probably the hardest job in boxing, and the one person in boxing that gets no credit at all is a matchmaker. And they're the ones who are actually grooming these kids to become champions by who they match people with. That's what you have to do. When I was a matchmaker, I used to tell all the guys, I have a checklist of what you're going to go through from your pro debut. I want you to be in with a puncher. I want you to be in with a southpaw. I want you to be in with somebody who's going to talk shit. You may get dropped sometime. As long as you get up and take care of your thing. I want some adversity. You have to go through that stuff. So this way, when you reach the top, you're groomed for that. So there's really, if you're a real matchmaker, there's a science to it, with who you put your guys in, when the right time is, when not. It's not, matchmaking isn't just looking on BoxRec looking for weights of somebody that you're trying to get a fight for. So it's really, I give all matchmakers within this industry so many kudos, because it is the hardest job in this business.
I see. I've heard you speak before. Go ahead, Sar.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, it's also probably the one spot where they love to throw people under the bus. Like if the guy that's supposed to win doesn't, that's the easiest scapegoat.
Oh yeah. All of a sudden it's, the matchmaker didn't know what they were doing. Oh, that matchmaker's horrible. They matched them wrong. The this, the that. And there is cases of it, but not all the time.
Well, I was going to mention. Oh, go ahead, Sak, because your feed is a little slow. That's why. So it's like cutting off. Go ahead. I'll wait.
No. She used something that's so appropriate. There is a science to it, and putting a puzzle, almost putting puzzle piece together, and the fact that you're grooming fighters, a lot of times you're protecting certain flaws that that they have. It's very complex, and I wonder if anyone's ever written a book on it. I think it would be fascinating.
Well, there is a book out there. By it's The Ring is Square, and it's by oh my god, I can't believe it just went out of my head. But the matchmaker for years from Madison Square Garden back in the day, and it'll come to me. But it's a great book, and it's about matchmaking basically, and because back in the day, Madison Square Garden used to have their own boxing department.
Right.
So there was Carl Moretti worked there. Bobby Goodman from Don King, I believe Bruce Trampler worked there, and so that's where they all learned from. And I can't believe I can't think of it, but it'll come to me.
Cool. Sorry.
No, it's all right. What are you sorry for? I was going to mention that I've heard you speak about your travelings with certain fighters. They kind of you learn from them as far as what to look out for with certain things, like your experiences with Pernell Whitaker, Fernando Vargas. They would tell you what to look for as the fight was going on. Share with us those experiences that kind of helped you into becoming a matchmaker.
Well, a lot that helped me, and I tell people this all the time, coming up before I was even a matchmaker, I was doing fighter relations. So I would be at the fights, obviously, and I'd be sitting there watching the fights, and a fighter would be sitting next to me, like a Jeff Lacey, Rocky Juarez, many, Dominic Gwynn, and they'd sit there and they'd tell me, look what this guy's doing. He should be doing this, X, Y, and Z. Look at his legs. His legs are flat. I learned a lot from those type of guys, just sitting there watching the live fights and them educating me on what they should be doing or what they're not doing. And, that's where I learned a lot, is actually from the fighters themselves.
Okay. All right. The role of a manager. I have a friend it's a friend of ours, me and Socrates, Ricardo Figueroa. I'm not sure if you know who he is. We had him on a couple of times, and he tells us, his role as a manager and what he does. So what would be your definition as the role of a manager of a fighter?
Is protecting your fighter at all times, inside the ring, outside the ring, being alert on certain bullshit that people within this business will pull fight week, going into the fight, whether it's weight, whether it's water they use, whether it's the judging. That's one of my biggest things, that every time one of my fighters fights in a big fight, I will call that commission, have a conversation about every single judge that they plan to put in the fight. And if I dispute somebody, I have to have good reasoning, but that's, I want to make sure that he's being protected in the right way. So, and it's also just daily what's going on. You're a psychiatrist sometimes, you're a mother, you're a friend, just being there for them. And also one of my biggest things is educating fighters about the business. To be able to say to a fighter, the promoter is doing X, Y, and Z because of X, Y, and Z. And I could say that because I've done it before. Mm-hmm. Or they might try to pull this, or this might happen, or that might happen. It all comes with experience of what I dealt with. So, it's sometimes I could be overly aggressive, so to say, but it's because I've been in those situations, and I just want to make sure our fighters are protected. So my feeling as a manager, you're there to protect your fighter, and how we do it at Fighters First is also educate your fighter. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, if a fighter's not educated about the business, contracts or what, the fighter could say, so-and-so is ripping me off. And a lot of managers just might say, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, they are. No, sometimes they're not. So you got to explain where the money's going, how the money's going, what's happening, so they have a better understanding of it.
I see. I'm going to, one person had a question. We're going to go to a matchmaking question, and then we'll come back to the management role. And if you got questions, please leave them in the chat, and I'll try to put them up as we go along. My guy, 503 Line, he asked, what was your first big fight you've matched?
Oh, I don't even remember. It had to be a Sergey Kovalev one when he was on the come up. I would probably say, you know what? I'd probably say Sergey Kovalev against Darnell Boone. Okay. Not because it was such a big fight, but it had a lot of meaning. Sergey at the time wasn't signed to a promoter. He came to main events, and they were asking us to sign him. So he had a split decision with Darnell Boone before that. So I spoke to him and his manager, and we were putting him in a fight as an audition. I said, what if you guys fight Darnell Boone again? It was a split decision. This way we could see how much better Sergey got, and he could for his own. It'll help his own mental. Beautiful. We love it. So it was on an undercard of one of the NBC shows. He went in there. He destroyed Darnell Boone, I think the first or second round. And we gave him a contract right after the fight. So it's not that it was such a big fight, but it was very significant. And then look what we got in Sergey Kovalev.
All right. If you guys have any questions, just jump in. If not, I'm going to keep talking and asking questions. So since you mentioned Sergey Kovalev, a manager, you're protecting the fighter. And it's not necessarily just, anything to do with inside the business of boxing. What about like outside? Like Sergey had some trouble, some illegal problems. How do you deal with fighters that go through those? I don't want to say just mental illness, because that's the thing now. The mental illness.
Yeah.
But like when they have the outside, the illegal problems, or
when they
things
fuck up,
the
basically. When
all
they
right,
fuck
yeah.
up.
When fighters fuck up, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Yeah.
Thank God I haven't had to deal with that, knock on wood, yet. But my thing with a lot of the guys we have, they're young, so I give them a lot. We talk a lot. I talk a lot with our fighters. So I'll tell them a lot of different stories, and a lot of different stories about fighters back when that fucked up and things went wrong. So hopefully to educate them, like, don't ever, social media is so big now and there's cameras everywhere. Don't ever have a drink in your hand. Don't have a gun in your hand. Don't bring that type of energy. And the bigger you get, the harder it's going to be, as far as a fighter. There's going to be a lot of temptations, whether it's females, whether it's people saying, I got a great investment for you. Just always be on point and think about yourself. Don't fall into that starism and think I can get any bitch I want. Yeah, you sure can get any bitch you want. And guess what? Any bitch you want could be a problem too. So,
that's real. Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
And I would say the same thing for a female fighter with guys. It's the same shit. They want to capitalize on something. Mm-hmm. But, I try to educate them beforehand and just keep them on the right track. I mean, one of my fighters, I'm not going to mention one, he wasn't answering my calls, so I have him tracked on my phone. So I looked on my phone, I seen where he was. I'm like, why are you on Albany Avenue? What are you doing over there? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, God damn, I can't make a move. But that's what they need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They need that. They also need to know, because I've been around fighters so much, that there's somebody out there that cares, like really cares. Mm-hmm. Like I'm saying, I don't want you fucking up in a bar or something, Meanwhile, it was at like his strength and conditioning coaches, so it all was fine. But like, you got to kind of always be on them, even though they are grown ass men. Absolutely. I take nothing. They got to make the decisions. But, as an older head, like I'm here to educate you, and you don't have to listen to me, but I'm going to say it.
You're kind of like a parent. Like, I mean, when we had Ricardo, he kind of said similar things, right? Like, he's more of a father figure to these fighters, to mentor them in some way and to make sure they're on a straight and narrow. Like, you can't hold their hand every step of the way, but you can mentor them at times and try to do your best to keep them out of those situations.
Yeah. You try to mold them. It's you're right. It's like anybody who's a parent, you have a child, that's what you're doing throughout their whole life, is you're molding them. To do the right things. And that's kind of what you're doing. But on my end, I don't want to look like a mother because that ages me. So it's more like an aunt.
Okay. So to stay on this little topic, what would you say to like a fighter like, Tank Davis had some problems. Keyshawn Davis recently had a problem, not making weight. That's one thing, and then the shenanigans after the fight. What would you say to fighters like that? I mean, different situations, but how would you handle that?
Well, I tell fighters this all the time, and some of them listen, some of them don't. Like the weight issue, it happens. Sometimes a fighter hits a wall, sometimes they screw up, whatever. As a fighter when it's going to happen. You got to tell us early on, because things could be fixed without the embarrassment of jumping on the scale. Or maybe they can't. That's one thing I try to instill in all my fighters. If you're having a problem making weight, especially on a lower level, let me know, because the opponent might be happy to add 2 pounds to the contract before the fight happens. Or not, like that's what a lot of guys don't get. There's ways to work it out. Maybe not on the Keyshawn level, because that's a high level fight, but just in general, like it happened with me with one of my fighters, and he told me like the day of the weigh, and it's like, you got to give me some more time. So we ended up having to pay. And, you know, same thing. He said, oh, well, let's just have the promoter pay. I said, oh, no. You came in overweight. You're going to pay. He didn't. You know, so that right there is a lesson. But like with the Tank Davis stuff, with the legal troubles, see, I thank God I haven't been in that situation. But I think if I was in that situation, it would be a lot of tough love. You know, I'd be down on the first plane, down to talk to him and sit him down and say, listen, who are the people we're cleaning out of your fucking entourage? I'm not blaming anything on them, but there's too many people around you. You got to keep it small. Like certain things like that. And again, they may not listen, but I'm going to say it. I'm a straightforward person. I'm going to tell you how it is. You know, don't forget, I was also in the times where I dealt with Zab Judah and his whole crew. You know, so I would be the one who would go in the dressing room when there's 50 people in there and tell them to all get the fuck out. You know, like, and I wasn't doing it because of me. I was doing it for Zab. You know,
can you just talk to us about that? I think I know what you're talking about, but talk to us about that situation with Zab Judah a little bit.
As far as what? Just with the entourages?
Yeah.
Yeah. He always had a big entourage, but to his credit, a lot of it was his brothers. I mean, he has like a lot of brothers.
Yeah.
But there would be other people that would come on the scene, and you know, if you weren't part of that team, you're out. You don't need that many people in a dressing room. You know, it's just, you want to have your little cheering squad, one guy, no problem. You know, but I don't believe in having all those people in the dressing room. And I dealt with it with Arturo Gatti too. Arturo never had an entourage, but there would be guys outside of in his locker room that are his friends. Oh, can you get me in the back? Can you get me in the dressing room? No, because he didn't want it. You know, you don't need that. You're at work. You don't bring your friends to work. You know?
A clear comment, basic Shower, salute to you, Shower. She says, clearly UNAC key fighters in line, fighters' fathers in line too. Oh man. Well, I was gonna get to that a little bit later, but basically you basically make sure your fighters are in line. That's just, you know, we'll keep it at that for now.
Yeah, it's there. We're all on the same page. That's what it comes down to. It's not about we're the boss, because at the end of the day, a fighter is a boss. You know, and they're our clients. Their fathers are not our clients. You know, so that's what our job is. And there's certain things that happen that I'll call a fighter and be like, you know what, you really shouldn't have said that, or maybe you shouldn't do this, or maybe they're going to make their own decisions. At the end of the day, you know, but I'm going to say something for sure. Yeah.
Okay. You just mentioned Arturo Gatti. Talk to us about, you had a good friendship with Arturo. Talk to us about that friendship, and, you know, if you got any stories you'd like to share with us, dealings with Arturo.
Well, Arturo was, I would go down to his camps and spend time with him in camp. Me and him were very close friends, very close. We formed a great friendship, and there was one time he was fighting, I think it was the third ward fight, and we're in Atlantic City, and I'm in the casino. It's late at night, and my phone rings, and it's Arturo. I'm at the roulette table. So it's spinning. I'm gambling. I mean, it's at night. I could do that. So I don't answer the first call. So then he calls again. I'm like, well, this is why I'm here. I step away from the table, because at that time, you know, you can't have phones. Step away from the table, and I call him, and I'm standing kind of off, but I could see the numbers coming out. 22 is one of my numbers on roulette. So as I'm talking to Arturo, 22 comes out. I'm like, so on the phone, he's telling me whatever he needs. I'm like, oh shit. He's like, what happened? I go, I was playing roulette, and I walked away and he was a roulette player too, so he gets it. Walked away, and my number came out. He's like, oh my God, Joe, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it is what it is. It wasn't meant to be. No big deal. 2 weeks later, I had to go meet him at his apartment to take him to an Everlast photo shoot in Hoboken. So I go up to his apartment. He gives me a card. I open it. It says, "Thank you so much." And inside the card is a Macy's gift certificate. I'm like, "Arturo, you don't got to get me anything." He's like, "No, you do a lot for me, blah, blah, blah." Weeks go by. I forget I have this gift certificate. I go to Macy's. I'm like, "Oh, let me use, I'm getting sunglasses or something, let's say." So the lady puts it in and she goes, "Oh my God." She goes, "Somebody really likes you." I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "It was like a $2,500 gift certificate."
Wow.
I thought it was like $100. Who knows? I wasn't even thinking. I was like, "All right, well, give me another pair of the Gucci sunglasses." You know what I'm saying? But like, that was the type of friendship that we had. And like, he would call me all the time. And I wish I saved the messages. And he would call me and pretend he's a girl, but we all knew Arturo's accent. And he'd be like, "I'd like to be a ring card girl for the next fight with Arturo Gatti." Like, he was a jokester, like always playing jokes back and forth on each other. We had a really, really good time, and he was a great guy. He'd give you the shirt off his back.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Arturo Gatti. People have no idea. Atlantic City is dead. After the Arturo Gatti run, it's a shell, a total ghost town.
Yep. Yeah.
People, a lot of people, what are your thoughts for people that actually want to argue or push back that he made it to the Hall of Fame?
Oh, they can kiss my ass. I think there's no question of him being in the Hall. Look, I'm sorry, and this is he's not going to see
Hey,
this.
it's okay.
He will, but they put fucking Rocky Balboa in. They put Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Once you start doing that, I don't want to hear about anybody getting in the Hall of Fame. And it's no disrespect to him, but he was a fake fighter. I mean, let's just call it out.
He wasn't a fighter. He was an actor. He's an actor.
Right.
But I want to admit, before you go on, because Socrates says that, I'm one of the guys, I like Arturo Gatti, but I'm one of the guys that said, I don't think he's Hall of Fame. So I'm one of them. It's not any disrespect. I think Arturo Gatti was great. I just think the Hall of Fame, I don't think it's him. But go ahead. So just so you know, I'm one of those guys. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, now I look at you different. Now I'm
It's all good.
Give him some chapstick.
Yeah, I mean, when you put Balboa in there, and which is Sylvester Stallone, I think you kind of make the Hall of Fame a little bit of a joke now. But speaking of Hall of Fame, by the way, and I was going to save this, but since you brought it up, you are in the Atlantic City Hall of Fame. You're about to get inducted, I believe, next month, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Congrats.
And congratulations on that. How does it feel to be, selected to the Atlantic City Hall of Fame?
Well, it has a special meeting now 2 times because especially Arturo Gatti, we also have a fighter, Justin Figueroa, who's from Atlantic City, who I brought up from his pro debut. Mm-hmm. He's from there. So now it's like a double special meeting, to get into Atlantic City. He's been fighting in Atlantic City, since we signed him in 2023. Okay. And, he's 12-0, I believe now. And, he's doing his thing and he's selling a shitload of tickets. So I'm hoping that one day we bring boxing back to Atlantic City.
He's a good little fighter. And that's one of my questions. I have him on my list over here. He's undefeated and he's selling tickets out, especially, over there in the Jersey area in Atlantic City. How special of a fighter is he, you think?
I think he is a total package inside and outside the ring. When we first signed him, he was green, so we had to go through. That's where the matchmaking comes in. With having a fighter, I know how to match people too. Not that I did all his matches, but I approved every single one of them and watched every single opponent and knew when he's ready to step up and to groom him the right way and not to rush him. What I like is he's been through adversity already. He hasn't been pampered. He fought a fight, I think 3-4 fights ago where he got knocked down. He got caught. He got back up and stopped the guy in the next round. I.e., it's not about, look at Arturo Gatti. I mean, it's not about getting knocked down. It's about what you do when you get up.
Yeah.
And that shows me a lot about him. He didn't fold. He was in front of, his crowd. He sold like $40,000 in tickets. The whole arena was filled with his people. He wasn't, he didn't like cower down. Like that's big. I look at a lot of that stuff. So I think he's right there, to be fighting for a championship. Not this year or next year, maybe, down the road late next year.
He's at 154, super welterweight, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a solid division.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I look forward to seeing a little bit more of him. That's one of my favorite divisions in boxing right now. It's a lot of big names there and a lot of big hitters too. So
yeah.
I don't know if you guys got questions. I got another good one. I don't know if you guys, just intervene anytime. I know you guys on your lunch break.
Well, I was going to say, Jolene, I mean, you've seen so much over the years. If you don't mind taking a step back, main events, when it was in its heyday, you guys had some stars, aside from Gatti, Fernando Vargas, the name Pernell Whitaker, I believe. It was like a who's who, when you're watching HBO or Showtime. What's your top 2 or 3 most memorable fights? And could you tell me what's it like working with Kathy Duva?
Okay, top 2. I'll give you my top 2. One is what everybody would think is obviously Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward, the first one. And then my other fight that not many people seen, and I don't know if it was, but I believe it was on a Lennox Lewis David Tua undercard. Socrates, I don't know, Thomas, how old you look a little younger than Socrates. Sorry, Socrates. But anyway,
we're the same age, by the way, but that's great. Thank you.
Okay. You remember Lawrence Clay-Bay?
Of course.
Clifford Etienne?
Yes.
They fought each other
on
the undercard, and it was like just a great heavyweight fight. Like that fight stuck out, and that's like digging deep down that you probably never thought I would say Clifford Etienne and Lawrence Clay-Bay, but that was a great heavyweight fight. And then as far as working for Kathy Duva, I mean, look, I'm where I'm at because of her. She gave me the opportunities. I started off answering the phones as a secretary, didn't know shit about boxing. She then promoted me to fighters relations, where I did the travel and the hotel, and I dealt with the fighters one-on-one. Then I moved up to the matchmaking, where I'm dealing with more the trainers and the managers one-on-one. Then I moved up to vice president of operations, where I'm taking care of a whole show. So I, like I tell people all the time, when I started at main events, I did everything from moving chairs to picking fighters up from the airport to bringing them for a medical. Did all this shit work. I didn't come into this business just, I'm vice president because I'm related to somebody. No, I did all the shit work from the bottom to the top. So I can respect people within this business. And I think Kathy did that on purpose because going back to her husband who started the company, that's what Dan did. When they first started the company, yes, they got the 84 Olympic team, but Dan and Kathy and the whole family, they were moving chairs in Ice World and doing all the shit work because you need to do that. I think that just makes you that much better as a promoter because you respect people more. So working for her, she's taught me almost everything that I know. She just she's an educator and she's a genius, very smart lady. And, she's like a second mother to me where, she took me under her wing and taught me so much within this business. Just even sitting in the room with her where she's on the phone at the time with the presidents of HBO Sports and getting to listen to the conference calls and the meetings. That's where you learn. You learn on the job, So
you mentioned HBO, so you've seen the evolution of, because the most important part of the sport that we love is television, right? So you've seen the evolution of cable to regular, to network TV, now the apps. Where do you see how do you compare, let's say, being at working an HBO show compared to where we are now?
Oh, it's two different worlds. It's like you said, like going down to Atlantic City when Arturo fought, you'd come out of the fight and the boardwalk was packed. Like you just knew it was like people were going into the fight. They're trying to sell you tickets. Like the energy was there. Same thing with the fights on HBO. It was like, whether you're at the actual fight or watching it on TV, the energy was there. You knew once the music started with the HBO, you knew like, oh, it's going to be a good fight. It was just like, HBO's marketing was like no other. So
Yes.
you just knew like, oh, it's going to be a good fight. It's HBO. It's HBO. And, nowadays, I think that, and going back to HBO, I think nowadays the biggest problem is nobody is building up opponents.
No.
That's the biggest problem, because even when, like, okay, going back, let's say when Miguel Cotto fought Zab Judah, guess what? I knew Zab Judah and the other person knew Miguel Cotto, and we could fight about who's going to win. If Miguel Cotto is fighting Joe Lima from Germany, there's nothing to talk about.
Right.
Because they don't know the other guy.
Yeah.
And I don't care if the opponent has no shot to win. You're still having that conversation. And I think that's what the business is lacking.
Is there I don't know if this was on your agenda, Tom. I don't mean to skip forward, but
okay.
Is there a certain fight that you could draw that parallel from Zab and Cotto to any two fighters that we have now? The ones that pop into my head are Haney and
Norman
and Brian Norman. Can you draw a similar parallel, or or help me out? Is there anything that I'm missing?
Yeah, you got two guys. You got look, no one's going to take it away. Haney's fought great opposition. He's fought better opposition than Brian, right? I mean, I'm Brian's manager, but it's just factual. But here's the thing. People now, with Brian, with his last two fights with Sasaki and Cuevas, now people are talking. And it's like, Brian's going to win. No, Devin's going to win. You know both of their names. You just know both of their names, and it's a beautiful matchup because you got the boxer against the puncher. So you're going to have those people that like the puncher to say, Brian's going to start him. You got the people that are on the Haney train that, oh, Devin's going to box circles around him. There's a conversation. There's really never any conversation with others because a lot of the times you don't know both of their names. It's important to know both. It's important to have, if a guy had a loss, that it's not the end of the world.
Okay. D-Free, I guess there's some questions in the chat I want to get to as well, and then but D-Free, you got anything? D-Free's driving.
Okay.
let me
cut
get
off
to
D-Free.
Oh, go ahead.
What's your, other than Atlantic City, give me some of the really good fight towns that you've worked, that you love to go in there, love doing work. The commissions were easy to work with. Give me, 2 or 3 that pop into your mind.
Texas, San Antonio, Corpus, El Paso. I always love doing fights there. I like New York because I like the energy. It's New York. I mean, it's just, I always like doing fights in New York. I never had an issue with the commission there. And probably one of my other favorite ones is Mohegan Sun.
Yeah.
Because it's just the arena. You can't get in a better arena. Every seat is good for the crowd. You have a good fight. The energy is great there. I like Mohegan too. Those are probably my tops.
Question from the chat from 503. He asks, what's one thing that makes her want to cut ties with a fighter? Does she have any stories where she had to cut ties?
You know what? I'm not big on, if you lose, let's cut them and this and that. We have like kind of a mantra at like Fighters First that, if a fighter's like, I feel like you can't do anything for me, I want to leave. And granted, we didn't invest much money in them or whatever. We don't hold fighters back. Go ahead and leave.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to say, oh, you still have 2 years left in your contract. I'm not. Look, going into contracts and having a relationship with people is like having a marriage, right? So I don't want to be married to somebody who doesn't want to be married to me.
Yeah.
You know? So if they're not happy or, you know, they just feel we can't do anything, and we've been in those situations, we mutually agree to let them go. You know, I will never hold a fighter back from doing what they want to do, because I'm not going to work with somebody who's not happy.
Let me ask you a question. For some of the people that might not know, who's the responsibility to find a fight for your fighter? Is it the manager's responsibility or the promoter's responsibility to find the fight?
If they're signed with a promoter, it's the promoter's responsibility. If they're not signed with a promoter, it's not our responsibility, but that's what we work on to get them a fight.
Okay.
So.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Another question from the chat. How do you feel about fighters being how do you feel about fights being negotiated online and in public spaces? And also, okay, and that's it. That was it. She was telling me about something else. But yeah.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Wow.
I hate it.
I can imagine hating it, but from a manager's perspective, and just to kind of go off of D. Free's question, how do fights get made? Like, you know, how does it actually go about? Like, you know, and then we got to fight. You know, we hear about the different things of this guy asked this guy to fight, or, you know, we sent you the contract, or we sent you this offer. No, we did this. All we know is that when the fight gets made, it's made. What happens before that, before people start signing contracts?
Look, you go into a negotiation period. There's two ways when you're negotiating, right? So if I get an offer, let's just use Justin Figueroa just as an example. None of this happened. If I get an offer and somebody comes to me and says, we want Justin Figueroa to fight Virgil Ortiz, right? We'll use him as an example. Okay, cool. How much? Well, we're going to give you $500,000. There's no more to talk about, because that's absolutely and utterly ridiculous. Like,
okay,
you might as well say you don't want to make the fight. Like, see, what people don't realize is a lot of promoters come in on a low number, hoping that that person's not going to take it because it's so low. And then when you don't take it, they turn it around and say, my fighter was scared to fight their fighter. No, it wasn't the right deal. It was like, you know, oh, here's $5, fight Virgil Ortiz. No, like, and then it's, oh, well, it was the highest payday of Justin Figueroa's career.
We hear that a lot. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Stop counting other people's money. Stop. You know, so that happens a lot of times with promoters will come in with a low blow offer only to use you for publicity to promote themselves.
Yes.
You know, but I'm a true believer, if a deal is right and the fighter is happy and everybody within the team is happy about the fight itself and the money, fighters make fights, contracts don't. So if a fighter wants a fight to be made, they will get it made. And if you're the A side, and I've seen this, and we've done it at main events hundreds of times, whether it be the promoter or the fighter is going to take money out of their own pocket, and the promoter is going to take money out of their own pocket to get it done for the right money. Okay. On a lower level and a higher level. So that's, you know, a lot of people see, oh, well, this one didn't accept this money, and you know, there's more to it than that. It's always more to it. But I'm a believer, like just an example with the Devin Haney and Brian Norman fight, we agreed to it within 2 days.
So can you, because that was eventually was going to be our question. I think people in the chat are waiting for that as well. So can you go through the process of how that fight got made? What was the what started, the talks. Let's get there. Like, what was the conversation, how that began, and to how the fight got made after that?
Top Rank called us with an offer that they got from Turkey and his people, and we talked about it as a team, what the offer was, and it was yes, 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 and yes. The date, everything, okay, 147 pounds, no prop, that's what we want. He wants the title, and the fight was made.
Okay, and it was basically, it had to go through the promoter, which, like you said earlier, the promoter makes the fight if they sign with the promoter. So they had to go through, I guess, Aram or Goodman or whoever in Top Rank. They not make the decision. They present it to you and Brian Norman Jr.
And we make the decision, yes.
And you make the decision,
yeah,
yes or no.
They could come back and say, oh, no, we don't think you should take it because we got X, Y, and Z. But I think everybody from Top Rank to us to Brian all agreed it was a big fat yes.
Okay. Well, there was one little hiccup that I saw that I wanted to ask you about. With Agent Clark made a post that there was no fight. It was there for like a minute. It was something I might be not as accurate. He made a post where it led to like, oh, we might not have the fight. What was the issue there?
I'm not going to get into it because I don't like to talk. It was I'm going to make it short and sweet. It was people's feelings got involved.
Okay.
And then they slept on it and rethought about it and it changed.
Okay.
People sometimes in negotiations, people get very emotional.
And that makes sense. And that's what I kind of figured at the same time. And not to get into specifics, I kind of just on the outside looking in because, like you said, it happened in 2 days. But obviously there's going to be feelings a part of it. And you're not going to be yes, yes, yes right away. You're going to ask questions in return, I would think, right? If somebody's offering me something, before I say yes, I'm going to ask a couple questions, to fire back, and then they're gonna let me know, oh yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Let me see about this. You know what I'm saying? So no, I totally understand, but I just wanted to get your perspective on.
Yeah, it's sometimes emotions get involved, and people don't like certain questions asked or answered or what, and everybody, it all worked out, thank God.
Okay. Yeah, and let's stay on this right now. I have other questions about that I wanted to ask before, but since people brought up the fight, let's go to the altercation. Right, you was throwing some hands in there as well. What happened? What started that? Like we see the videos of what them at each other, but was there something before that got them to get in each other's face like that?
Well, right before that, we had done that Chris Mannix face-off where it was just them two, and they went back and forth. And look, I'm going to be biased because I am, and I don't give a shit. But I think Brian Norman got the best of Devin Haney in it. You guys will see it when it comes out, and you can see if I'm right or wrong. But I think, that, they thought they were going to come in and little boy Brian and do all that. And Brian stood his own, and he's a great interviewer, and he's a great comment. So they didn't win that battle, And I think it really kind of got him like, oh shit, this kid, he's standing on his own. Like, he ain't scared because he didn't shut, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is probably not the first face-off Devin Haney did. It was the first one Brian Norman did.
Okay.
And, after they started, it was all done and we're in the room and, I don't know. I think his father probably started chanting like, oh, the only reason you're getting this fight is because of us. You better thank us for giving you this fight. And And Brian just looked and said, like, more or less, like, don't quote me on it, but I'm the one who has the fucking title.
Mm-hmm.
I got the belt. You want my belt. I got the belt. I'm the champion. And they were going back and forth, and Brian, like, put his finger out, like, just calm as could be. Not, like, trying to go at him. Just, like, listen, and the security fucking lost him.
Yeah. Okay.
And just went overboard. And as this is happening, I've been in these situations before, altercations, but I'm thinking to myself, please don't fuck up the money, you dumbass.
Yeah, exactly. Because somebody could have got hurt. There could have been an injury,
It could have been really bad. I mean, because God forbid Brian got hurt. Now the security guard just fucked up his money. So somebody's going to have to pay for that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it could have been really bad. Thank God it wasn't. We all talked after. Everybody calmed down. I was still cursing out the security guard, but that's me.
Okay, yeah, and I don't like to use the word scared, but I think they were trying to, in my opinion, I think they were trying to intimidate him. And like you said, I didn't. That's why I asked what happened before. So we'll see that eventually when that comes out, that little face-off. So maybe at the end of the face-off, maybe they felt the type of way, and it was like, wow, this guy is kind of calm and standing on his own, and like, you know, let's try to intimidate him some more, sort of. And that's what it is. Not maybe being scared, but they saw that, you know, Brian was calm as can be. You know what I'm saying? So,
and I think they were like, we got to get in his head. We didn't get in his head. And you know what? To put this to, and Adrian Clark had mentioned this to me, and I'm another one of my Justin Figueroa too. I didn't notice, but the scary part about it all, the whole time this was happening, Brian Norman Jr. was smiling the whole entire time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
if
he
you
was.
watch that video, he was smiling the whole time.
Wow.
So it's not like he was like ready to throw hands. He knew, you know what I'm saying? He was just smiling, like,
Yeah,
more or less like, motherfuckers, this ain't gonna work.
I mean, at the end of the day, those are the two guys that are going to get in the ring and fight. But it's like what you're saying as far as like the entourages and like even the case with Zab, you know, all the extra stuff is just not necessary, you know, and it can cause a problem, you know, and luckily no problems really develop from this, you know,
right?
So, except that eyes are now seeing this and saying like, you know, I like Devin Haney. I think Devin Haney's a great kid. I think he's a great fighter. You know, I argue with Sock all the time about this. I don't know. D Free is kind of with me on this when it comes to Devin Haney, but it kind of gave him a bad look, in my opinion, after that. You know, after seeing a scuffle like that, like, why do you need to do that? You know, that there's no need for that. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my take of it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think it just gave him a bad look, but I don't think they give a shit about that.
Yeah.
I think their goal was to intimidate us, and it didn't work, so to say. You know, like, I've been around plenty of security on a lot larger level, okay, and a lot more threatening level, because let's also just put it back. They had their entourage. We had Brian, his father, Adrian, and me. We had 4 people.
Yeah.
So what was your point as a 6'5" guy, 200 and something pounds? You think Brian Norman Jr. was doing, like, it's all like, you're a fake security guard.
Yeah.
Fake.
I think the Haneys have realized Devin is never going to be a beloved figure. He's not going to be Sugar Ray Leonard. Mm-hmm. And I think they try to lean into like this fake villain, tough guy.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You know, I mean, I don't know him personally. Tom says he's a great kid. I think, you know, whatever. I think
Jesus.
I think he's a phony, and I really hope Brian Norman puts the beats to him.
Me too.
Unbiasedly, of course.
Unbiasedly, yeah. Listen, I have the same sentiment as far as the fight. I'm rooting for Brian in this fight because of the altercation. But you know, I had interactions with Bill. I think Bill is great. You know, I think, does Bill do a little too much? Yeah, of course he does. You know, but when I interacted with Bill, he was nothing but great to me. We spoke. He was cool. You know, I think Bill is good for boxing. At the other end of it, I met you, Jolene, before. I don't know if you remember. We met last year. I met Brian Norman and Brian Norman Sr., and they were great to me as well. They were good people, very genuine, nice guys, you know, and very soft-spoken too. You know, Brian Norman's getting a little bit louder. His father's been talking a lot and getting a little louder, but, you know, that's to help promote the fight. So I think that's all good and stuff. So, you know, I'm rooting for Brian Norman, but I'm also rooting to see a great fight. Maybe they can make a trilogy out of it. Who knows? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, sure.
That's what I'm rooting for at the end of the day. So
everybody wins in that aspect.
Exactly.
For sure.
You know, both fighters are going to get paid good amount of money, life-changing money. You know, and that's what it's all about. You know, you risk your life on the line in this sport, and now you're going to get paid handsomely for it. And then you're going to give the fans something that they want to see. I think the fans want to see this. I think this is the most intriguing fight that we got going into the rest of the year. I know we got Bud and Canelo. I'm intrigued about that fight, but I'm more intrigued with Norman and Haney. You know, with Haney moving up, Brian Norman, like you said, he hasn't got the resume as Devin Haney got. So this is intriguing for me, So I'm excited, and I think at the end of the day, the fans are going to win.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
One of the other questions I want to ask before I guess we go off, I wanted to really bring this up. We've had John Scully on this multiple times here, and he's an advocate for like the fighters when they retire, them getting some type of pension, getting paid, taking care of the fighters. From what I know of you, I think you're an advocate about fighters in healthcare. Am I right about that? Can you talk to us about fighters getting healthcare?
Well, I'm actually in the talks as we speak with a friend of mine that deals with healthcare. He's an agent, and we're looking. I can't do it for all the fighters. I mean, they'll be welcome once it's open to get healthcare for our fighters at Fighters First, because it's an important thing that I don't care if you're a fighter, who you are. Everybody in America should have health insurance, and everybody could say, and I don't even know if they still exist, the Obamacare and all that, but that doesn't really, it's not real health insurance. It does, whatever. So, I'm big, especially with people, fighters that have families, they have kids, they have wives. They need that health insurance because not only because they're a fighter, but just stupid things, common cold, you break something happens, I don't care how much money you have. Why not let insurance pay for it? Brian Norman got 2 hand surgeries while he's been with us. If he had health insurance, it would be covered, somewhat of it.
Yeah.
So, and it, like I said, it's just anything could happen, and you need that health insurance. It's an insurance. It's a safety. It's no different than having a cut man in your corner. So I'm in the midst of hopefully getting that done. Hopefully the beginning of next year, where I could offer guys health insurance for nothing, if not dirt cheap.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
I had to ask that because I've heard you speak about it before. And, I work in sort of health. I work for a big health foundation, here in New York City. So, and they give out grants to different hospitals and programs to help, pay for healthcare. So.
Right.
And I said I had to ask that, just in case anybody from my job is watching, so that
Yeah. No, that's good. Smart.
So I mean, this is pretty good. I mean, that's pretty all I got. I did have one more little fun question. Pernell Whitaker's one of my favorite fighters of all time. I was going to ask if you could share a story about any interaction with Pernell.
There's so many with Pernell. Pernell was you had to know Pernell to love him because he could be such a smart ass. We were at, I'll give you 3 quick ones. We were at a bar after a fight. I think it was in Bally's in Atlantic City, and a fan comes by and they come by with a napkin. Said, Pernell, you're my favorite fighter. Can you sign this? And they give him a napkin with a pencil. Pernell takes the napkin and pushes away. He said, oh, Pernell Whitaker don't do napkins. I was like, oh my God. So me, to cover it up, I made sure I got a pen from somebody. Here's the piece of paper. Pernell signed the fucking thing. Because I don't want that fan, it was who he was. And then one time, we were at an amateur show. This was years ago, and Riddick Bowe was there. And he said to Pernell, I'm making a comeback. This was probably about 10 years ago. Pernell, I'm making a comeback. I want you to train me. And Pernell said to him, oh, I don't do dinosaurs.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah.
And then another fighter comes up. I forget who it was. And he says, I want you to train me, Pernell. This is when he was training Zab. And he put his hand on the guy's shoulder. He goes, I think what you need, not a trainer, you need a full-time job. I was like, a guy who never worked a day in his life, Pernell, told this guy he needs a full-time job. So those are some Pernell. He was great. Always kept us laughing.
Oh, that had to be funny with Riddick Bowe, because Riddick Bowe talks a lot too. So that had to catch Riddick Bowe off guard, because he could talk trash.
He goes, I don't train dinosaurs.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. I mean, this was great. I didn't want to take too much of your time. I think we did about an hour. I think that's good. I don't know if you guys have any questions, but I just want to say thank you for donating this time to us. This was great. Maybe we can have you on, maybe after the Haney fight, we could talk a little bit about the fight and talk a little bit about boxing. Once again, congratulations on the Hall of Fame, Atlantic City Hall of Fame. I think that's very great. That's a special moment for you. And yeah, I just, thank you. So
no problem. I appreciate you having me on. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was very educational as well. I learned a lot as well. And hopefully the people watching or catch the replay will learn some things as well as, the business itself. There's a business inside the ring and there's a business outside the ring. And a lot of people don't know what happens outside the ring and how fights get made and what you have to do to get fighters mentally prepared as well, So this was great. This was awesome. So
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe, for coming on to throw in an old bone to an old friend.
No problem. Anytime you want to have me on again, let me know.
How about the Hall of Fame weekend?
Have me on the Hall of Fame weekend?
Is it when you go to the Hall of Fame? It's a weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yep. It's like the end of September, like the 26th.
Yeah,
27th.
27th.
Yep.
Yeah, it's my wife's birthday. That's what I remember.
Oh, okay. I thought you remembered what I was getting in. So.
That too.
You already fucked it up with your wife's birthday, but it's okay. I still love you. Don't worry.
I was gonna try to convince her to let's spend the weekend in AC on her birthday. So.
Well, now you're pushing it because it's boxing. I gotta abuse you.
My wife loves boxing.
He took her. My
wife loves boxing.
They came to the fight. The all women's card. They were at they were there at that event. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes that's what it takes to get Sock to come outside too. To get permission from his wife to come hang out with me.
So. Oh yeah, that I believe for sure. At least she's a boxing fan.
Yeah.
Be free. You got anything, bro?
No, it was very educational. It was a lot that she spoke on that myself and I know quite a few in the chat got to learn that we.
And he cut
and the manager side. I appreciate you for your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, there you have it, guys. This was an awesome interview. Different. Usually we have fighters, or we might have. We've even had a cutman. We had Stitch on. So this was different perspective. A second manager we've interviewed. We had Ricardo on there. It'd be nice. Maybe I'll think about trying to get both of you on at the same time. Ricardo's a nice guy. I don't know how you feel about Ricardo, but
Oh yeah, I don't have any issues.
Okay.
I don't have any issues. If it was somebody I had issues with, I'd say it live.
Yeah, I know you would. You're a straight shooter. I know.
Yeah.
I did my research. I know. Well, thank you, Jolene. I appreciate you coming on. Really, thank you very much.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
All right.
No problem.
All right, bye guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Take care.
All right.
There you have it, guys. This was a good one. Very educational. You guys asked some good questions. Sock, thanks for being on time and being involved in this one. This is awesome. It's always great to see my friend Sock, one of my best friends in the whole wide world.
Hey, well, I gotta get going on that note. It was good. Good question. Very good homework. I was impressed. You did some good research.
Thank you. I do this to impress you and some people in the chat.
Nice. Keep up the good work.
We'll talk. I think tomorrow. We're looking to have Keith Cologne for a few minutes. I'm going to keep Keith Cologne real short because I know he's busy. But I like to bring Keith Cologne, let everybody know who Keith is, and to let everybody know that we rock with Keith and Keith rocks with us. So so I like to do that after his fight. So we'll do that tomorrow. I'm not sure about tonight. Tonight we may go live as well. But special shout out to the Sports Talk Network. Special shout out to my man BVO. He just got monetized. Congratulations to my main man BVO. He's doing big things. He works hard, man. And listen, he came out to the Bronx, he came out to New York, and he celebrated his birthday out here. And he brought his wife, and we saw the fights. So shout out to BVO. Shout out to my man Prize Fighter, and shout out to him. He was at the fights last week at Keith Cologne's fight. Big shout out to him. Grumpy OGs, that's the new show, man. CDK, Crust the Legend. Go check them out, man. The Grumpy OGs. You outside?
Like a fat kid in dodgeball.
I'm out.
Later, Sock. And before we go, I just want to say shout out to the Grumpy OGs. Look out for them. My man Crush the Legend and my man CDK. I think that they're doing a great show. They're like 70 or 80 years old. Grumpy OGs. And of course, my other co-host and one of my good friends, my man D Free. He's been doing a lot of football content. We're going to get back into our thing. We're going to start our fantasy football league as well. So shout out to my man D Free. Go subscribe. It's scrolling at the bottom. His Instagram, I believe, is scrolling at the bottom, or his YouTube, or maybe even both. But shout out to my man D Free, and shout out to you guys in the chat. Appreciate you. Share this video. To all over you can. Let people know, if they want to get educated on the management side.
Hey, real quick, for everybody that didn't know, now you know. It was yes, 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 and yes.
I didn't want to say anything. I was gonna clip it and post it later, and I'll still probably do that. But yeah, I mean, to get it from their point of view. And look, they said a matter of days, which it was a matter of days. And I asked a question about the hiccup that post that Agent Clark wrote about there may not be a fight or whatever. So and she answered it the best she could, and I think it was a very good answer. And at the end of the day, the fight got made. Nobody ducked anybody, and she very openly admitted. She said Devin Haney has the better resume. He's the more well-known guy. He's been there before. Brian Norman Jr. hasn't, but he has the title, right? So I think those are very honest and sincere answers that she gave. So listen, we got to fight.
It's nothing wrong with admitting what the facts are. Yes. The facts are the facts, and you can still say, "I believe this person's going to win." But yeah, he got a better resume. When we had the whole Earl and Buzz saga going on. People were saying Earl got a better resume. People, oh no, Bud. No, it's nothing wrong with admitting somebody had a better resume, but you still believe that the other person gonna win. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is the fight business, and we got a little bit of taste of it today, and I learned some things too, and I definitely appreciate this. As somebody that's been in the business for close to 30 years. So who am I to say that she's wrong or anybody else is wrong if they've been doing it for so long? You know what I'm saying? So. I'm here to learn, just like people in the chat are here to learn, and it's okay to have opinions as well. So I'll leave it at that. But this was dope. This is one of the better ones. I know I say that a lot, but
hey, I feel like I gotta put this one up there with Stitch and Scully. It got to be up there with Stitch and Scully.
Yeah, because we learned something. It's not about always talking and giving our opinions, but these were some factual things that were given to us. And, I learned a few things as well. So hopefully you guys did as well. And yeah, man, this is good. I'm all about learning and the sport that I love. I love boxing and I want to learn the business side of it as well as inside the ring. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. But I definitely appreciate everybody that came through. Share the video. If you're catching on replay, thank you. Thank you for everybody that came through. Much love and respect. We'll catch you guys either later tonight or tomorrow. Or maybe both.
And make sure y'all smash my man's like button. Don't watch this for free.
Yeah, or dislike. I don't care. So appreciate you guys. Take care, and we'll catch you guys later. Shout out to the Sports Talk Network, STN. We're trying to do big things. I think we're doing big things, but if we're not, we'll try to get there one day. Peace out. Much love, and we'll catch you on the rebound.
Peace.
Yeah, buddy.